Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Journey to Legacy podcast. My name is Wayne Veldsman, and today I am interviewing Miss Kirsten Graham of Six Figure Business Coaching. Kirsten not only helps people to grow their business through coaching, through consulting, but she's helping them in a very unique, strategic way to actually grow very rapidly by getting you more help with things that might not be your strengths. And that's a lot of what this episode goes into. Things like overcoming your self-doubt, outsourcing, focusing on what you're good at and having somebody else help with the rest. I think you're going to like it a whole lot. Without further ado, enjoy this episode of the Journey to Legacy podcast. Kirsten, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Wayne. I'm excited about our conversation.
I am excited to pick your brain, honestly, but I always like to give all the guests a chance in the very beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself in your own words.
Sure. So right now, I've had lots of, like so many entrepreneurs, my journey has been long and curvy with ups and downs and lots of fun things in between. Right now, I actually have a business partner in this business, and we love helping our clients with outsourcing. And we just, I feel like so many business owners go it alone, beating their heads against the wall. So that's kind of my passion, is really helping business owners get the support that they need. But I have done lots of different things. My journey really started in real estate in the late 80s. So I will age myself.
No, not at all. But starting in real estate, like I said, now running six-figure business coaching, company's name, helping to pair people up with some support. Where did that idea come from actually originally?
Yeah, sure. So when I owned my mortgage company, I started selling real estate, then I ended up on the mortgage side. And when I owned my mortgage company, I did a lot of loans for self-employed people, and I was very involved with networking. And so what would happen is they would always want to take me to lunch and pick my brain. And so I mentored business owners for about a decade. And that also included like some friends and also some clients of my mortgage company. And one of those clients was Jeannie Wilson, who is now my business partner. She had called in to find out what the interest rates looked like. And I knew that the last time we spoke, she was talking about starting a business. And so I said, well, how is your business going? And so she was telling me, and of course that led into like, I don't know anyone else that has a business. No one in my family's self-employed. So I offered to mentor and coach her. And what happened with that was she owned a marketing agency, and it was really exciting because it was right when Facebook came out with fan pages. And so if you're in the local business market, this was still when business owners were resistant to websites because their yellow page ads were still working. Online businesses were embracing Facebook. They were embracing LinkedIn. They were using email marketing and they were blogging, but most local businesses were not. And so I helped Jeannie put together a focus group to find out what business owners wanted to know about those things. And then she ended up teaching classes, paid classes on those things, and ended up selling out those classes. But inevitably, business owners then reached out to her and said, well, I don't want to set up a LinkedIn profile. I don't want to set up and post on my Facebook fan page. Can I hire you to do that? And so her business really kind of took off as a result of that. And so we were meeting one weekend, and obviously she needed help. And so I kind of said, well, I've read about outsourcing overseas. Would you want to try that?
Nice.
She said, okay. Like with blind faith, she said, okay. And this is before Zoom and before Skype. And, so it was really a different path to getting in touch with people. And we've hired from in over 6 countries. We like to say if it could be done wrong, we did it wrong more than once. We were totally taken advantage of. We were probably the crappiest bosses ever because again, it's all new, but there's cultural differences you don't really think about, when you're delegating, you don't always think about creating systems and processes. I had those in my mortgage company, and I had staff in my mortgage company, but with helping her get all of that set up in her business, it was interesting and it was a lot of fun. And so she ended up growing her business by outsourcing overseas. And then what I realized, I kind of moved from mentoring people to paid coaching clients. That kind of just naturally progressed. And what I realized with most business owners, their biggest challenge is really lead generation and closing sales, right? It's generating
Yeah.
revenue. And we all know that comes from marketing. So Jeannie and I ended up talking about, well, what do business owners really need help with? And if they're going to outsource, what can they outsource that would give them the best ROI? And that really
Beautiful.
boiled down to helping them learn how to outsource their marketing. And so it's been just a fantastic journey.
Wow.
I like to say, as much as I love helping our clients, like we love our business owners, I also love the fact that we get to help these wonderful people halfway around the world end up with
Yeah.
great jobs, and they get to work for these amazing
Yeah.
clients of ours. And so it
Yeah.
really is like this total win-win.
Nice. Oh, I love that path, honestly. You were in real
Mhm.
estate and then, mortgages. It's so interesting that you were providing mortgages to a lot of small business owners and
Yes.
then mentoring them a little bit. Found Jeannie, who is today your business partner. And right on that turn where marketing went from offline, yellow
Mhm.
pages, to online Facebook fan pages. And then you had this idea, or started hearing about virtual assistants so early on. And it's funny because I feel like a lot of people today are just hearing about quote unquote virtual assistants, right? Outsourcing overseas.
Right.
So you guys were cutting edge in the very beginning. I mean, that must have
Well,
been
yeah.
somewhat of a big question mark, like a little bit of insecurity there in the beginning of, is this going to be a thing or not? How did that
Right.
process go? How did that thinking go?
Well, Jeannie's really brave, I have to say, because again, there weren't a lot of books or articles. There wasn't a lot of information about it. I know the 4 Hour Work Week, Tim
Sure.
Ferriss talked about outsourcing, but didn't really go into detail. So it really was baptism by fire. We just kind of learned
Right.
the hard way. We just, got up and dusted ourselves off and tried again.
Mhm.
And we just learned so much. But the value is so amazing. When you can hire someone for $200 to $500 a month, that person might cost you $2,500 to $3,000 a month here. So cost of living is 85% less than it
Mhm.
is here. So you can really give someone a great job and still
Yeah.
be able to market your business because it is incredibly affordable.
Yeah.
And Jeannie is really funny because she also helped me. So there's another side to the story. In 2007, when I was working with her to help her grow her business, she convinced me to start a YouTube channel for my mortgage company.
Oh, no way.
And we all know what happened in 2008.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my company, we stayed in business. I always say we survived. We were not thriving, we were
Okay.
surviving. So I did stay in business until I decided to leave the industry at the end of 2013 because my mom was terminally ill. So what blew me away, and Wayne, I'm sure you know this from having, your podcast is also video. What blew me away was the fact that people would watch our videos and then they would come into the office for their loan application and they were so familiar with me. It was like they knew me to the point where it was
Sure.
uncomfortable because I'm trying to think about, like, how do I know them? Like, where did
Yeah.
I meet them?
Oh,
Because
that's
it's an
so funny.
unbalanced relationship because they
Mm.
know you. They knew my dog. They knew the processor, Cindy. So it was very fascinating. But that was where I really learned the power of video marketing and how it
Nice.
can build know, like, and trust, and how it can, it gives you the opportunity to really have a great inbound marketing strategy because you're able to provide incredible value for people. As business owners, we all forget how much we know. We forget, like,
Mm.
all of the
Mm.
things that our clients just don't know. So being able to create content about all the questions that any client has ever asked you, all of a sudden now you're not just this person who's trying to get their business or sell them something. You're this incredible person who's answering questions that they were afraid to ask. You're providing
Got it.
value and information to them. And the dynamic and how that changes people, it still blows me away to this day.
So true. Wow. So a lot of people that I interview actually end up being more in sort of the mindset, like the coaching space. I love whenever I interview someone that's very business focused, very business oriented, because I sort of fall on both realms of the
Right.
spectrum. And so the video piece is so interesting, right? What you're saying is that you learned quickly for yourself after Jeannie recommended you get a YouTube channel. right, to share, that it started bringing this almost extra piece of like transparency to your brand?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
nice. And so thus people were learning to get to know you before they ever met you. I mean, how do you think that that affected the actual growth of the mortgage company?
Well, I definitely think it helped us stay in business when a lot of people went out of business, which was really
Mhm.
amazing. Um, and we just had a lot of fun with it. One of my loan officers, he did a video on what is APR. And he said, APR is a pretty good rate, and you can only get that if you call Paul. And then, of course, he explained what APR stood for. So sometimes we think that like the really simple things are things that people know, but they don't
Mhm.
always know it. So by putting out this content, it also gave us an insight to what people were interested in, because you could see how many people were watching the video. Or even to this day, when people find our video content and they book a call with me, they are
Mm,
quoting things that I've said, or they're quoting things that Jeannie has said. So
nice.
what happens is when people find you and they start listening to your content, if they're at a place where they want to buy, where if they're at a place where they need what you do, like you can help
Mhm,
them,
mhm,
then they're going to binge watch your content. And then by the time they reach out to you, they are comfortable with you. They feel like they know you and they already trust you. And that is so incredibly powerful. We work, YouTube is also fantastic for SEO, search engine optimization.
mm,
And so we work a lot with real estate agents and law firms and individual attorneys, because they can really leverage the local SEO to help them, have clients find them. A lot of them pay a ton of money, especially law firms pay a ton of money for their SEO specialists
mm,
to the tune of
mm,
about 40 grand a year. So they
mm,
spend a lot of money on that. So by creating this content that organically gives them a lot of reach for SEO and helps them build the brand, it helps them have inbound leads. It's incredibly powerful. Like it's just it's powerful on many, many levels.
Man, you all are all in on video, and I couldn't agree with you more, right? So, where you're talking about YouTube with SEO, search engine optimization, is it's how you're being found through Google, right? When someone is asking early stage questions, let's just keep using real estate for an example here of, what is a mortgage? As easy as that. They type it into Google, right? That's where SEO comes in, and YouTube and videos is one of the first things that pops up these days, right? And so you're so it's amazing what you're saying of really like that's starting to build that know, like, and trust, because you're answering the questions that people have that they're too afraid to ask even. And then when they walk through your doors or they give you a call, whatever it's about, they're kind of already pre-sold on you, right? You are the expert. Now, here's something
Right.
that I'm curious about. Earlier, you mentioned, right, that we forget everything that we know, right? There's so
Mhm.
much information that we know, and we forget that the average person doesn't know it. How can we start to figure out what to talk about, what to share? Because I have all this information that I know, but I forget that I even know it and that I should go share
Right.
it. Where should a business owner start?
Yes, that's one of the things that we work with our clients on, is coming up with their content strategy. And so one of the things we used to say back before video, back when people first started blogging, was write down every question people ask you. So, Wayne, if you're in a coaching session and someone asks you a really good question, take a minute and jot that question down, because that could very well be a great video for you to produce. So that is my first piece of advice. Every question someone asks you is most likely a video, or at least part of a video. The other thing is, we have there are ways which we teach how to figure out what people are searching for. So you and I may want to know the same information, but what we type into the search bar, whether we're searching in Google or whether we go directly to YouTube to search, the way we search for it could be very different. So there are ways to figure out what people are searching for, so you can really create video titles and have tags and descriptions that are going to be found. Because again,
Nice.
we might want the same information, but the way we ask the question could be very different. So I think
Sure.
that's important, is to learn that people are always online asking questions. I mean, search engine optimization, the bottom line is, it's people ask a question in Google or YouTube, and do you have enough of the keywords and the tags and the description to pull up your content? It's really that simple, right? there's a lot more that goes into SEO for websites and stuff, but the bottom line is creating content that people are looking for. And then I think also delivery. People will always ask me, how long should my video be?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer is, it should be long enough to deliver on the promise of the title. So I think one of my videos talks about, is it ethical to outsource overseas? So I need to deliver on that promise. I need to talk about different points and different information about, is it ethical? I need to talk about some of the cons. Just because someone's inexpensive doesn't mean you should treat them badly, or you shouldn't just treat them like a taskmaster. You should treat them like a human being who is part of your team, right? So the video needs to be long enough to deliver on the promise of the title.
Gotcha. So it sounds like it needs to be just long enough to deliver on the promise of your title, but not necessarily any longer.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that, sometimes we don't know how much we know, but then other times when we start to create content, we want to tell people everything at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing we work with, helping people understand that you can break content down so that it's, you're focusing on just one point, and then, you can go to the next point in that topic. So you can, your videos can build on each other.
Amazing. I think that is a great tip right there. Focus in on just one point, right? And then let your videos build on top of each other. I think this could even be a tip for communication overall, right? Yes. Whether you're speaking with a friend, a family member, if it's a colleague, or if it's a sales call, focus in on one point at a time, answer one question at a time, or ask one question at a time. Because the biggest thing is you don't want people to be confused. Have you come across that before in business, where you end up confusing someone and then they probably get scared away?
Yes. Yeah. Like they say, a confused mind never buys. But I think most business owners do it with a good heart, because we're so excited to help people. And we have so much information that sometimes when we can see that someone will be a great client, we know we could totally help them and transform them, their lives. We're like, a fire hose, giving them way too much information. So I think as people learn to create video content and they learn the strategy around that, it does, I think, help you become a better communicator in every aspect of your business, whether it's writing a blog or an email or even having a conversation.
Nice. So Kirsten, something that goes along with video, and something that I know from behind the scenes with you, is that there's kind of a fear of visibility for people, right? A fear of putting yourself out there in front of a camera, in front of essentially the world, to be judged, right?
Yes.
Take us back some. How did you get over this fear of visibility? Even tell some stories about maybe a fear of self-doubt.
Well, I don't know if any of us really get over the fear, right? Like, I think we always have this concern. I know after we finish this interview, I will probably think about, oh, I should have said that differently, or did, like, was that too convoluted with how I talked about something? Like, I feel like we always kind of critique ourselves. Usually what I tell people is, if your desire to serve people can override your fear, you'll win, right? And so I think about, when I'm looking at that little green light and I'm recording a video, I'm just thinking about one of our favorite clients and how much we transform their lives and how much their virtual assistant's life has been transformed. And I try to think that I'm not creating a video for millions of people. I'm creating a video for one person who needs to hear what I'm talking about right now. And even though that video, may have thousands of people watch it, the bottom line is I'm still talking to one person. And so I think that helps me. The other thing is having a virtual assistant. For most business owners, and we work with really all ages, but we tend to attract a lot of Xers and actually a lot of boomers who are starting businesses, which I think is incredibly cool. But we don't have time, or we don't necessarily want to learn how to do video editing and audio editing and uploading the video to YouTube and setting up all the search, title and tags and all that fun stuff. So what happens is our clients are often blown away by the fact that their virtual assistant takes care of all the or they speed up where they maybe had slowed down, or they're finding incredible B-roll or images so that, if you're creating a talking head video, nobody wants to look at me for 15 minutes. So they put incredible visuals on the screen, making the video interesting so people are more likely to watch it longer. So that's the other thing, is I'm so excited when our clients are like, I gave my first video to my virtual assistant and I was so nervous, and I re-recorded it 4 times before I gave it to them. And when it came back, I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually really good. And that's our goal, is to help them create content that they're proud of, and to encourage them not to pick themselves apart, because we all can do it. But if you have a desire to serve, it'll override that fear.
Nice. Your desire to serve, let that override your fear, your self-doubt. And the piece of that puzzle around talk or think about, like, you're creating for just one person. You're not going and standing up on a stage public speaking. You are one-on-one having coffee with somebody, serving just them, right? And in that situation, right? Of course, you're there to serve. You're not going to be afraid in that situation. It's a great mindset to adopt. And then, man, bringing in the piece of the virtual assistants here of, if you can have the confidence of somebody else, right? You have somebody else on your team that is going to make sure you don't look dumb. You don't have all these ums or stumbles in a video, and it's going to look professional. Man, you can have so much confidence. I mean, let's take it back even a little bit farther, right? To some of your first businesses. I know you're somewhat of a lifetime entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
While you were growing in real estate, but even before the mortgage title company, there must have been other self-doubts going on. Then, it wasn't related to video. Just in, were you good enough to grow a business? Do you recall any times like that?
Yeah, all the time. And I would love to find an entrepreneur that has outgrown that, because I know often the more successful we become, the more fear can rise up, because you have more to lose, right? So, if you started your business and you're making less than 50,000, that's scary as heck. But if you've built your business to make several million a year, you have a lot more to lose, right? So I think there's always a different level of fear and self-doubt. So I think the first thing is to acknowledge that it's normal. So,
Nice.
and anyone out there who doesn't have it is a narcissist, and you should probably stay away from them, right? But for me, I think, I know for me, when I get overwhelmed or I get into that place of fear, I shut down. Some people will go into overdrive. I tend to be a person who shuts down. And that's not a good place to be, because if I'm not, getting things done and I'm procrastinating, that's not helping me help people. It's not helping me move my business forward. So I think what I've always tried to do is, when I am kind of paralyzed by fear or doubting myself or beating myself up, right? You could do 100 things right and you do one thing wrong and you beat yourself up. So trying to realize that that's not helping me help someone else. So yeah, there's been, especially like 2008 when everything fell apart, that was scary as hell for all of us in the business, all of us. And I think that fear, I still feel that fear a lot of times, because, it was so dramatic for everyone. I think same thing we could talk about when the pandemic happened, that was a something new that none of us had experienced. And, we can choose to stay in that fear of how it affected us, or we can choose to find a way to manage that fear. And so whether that's working with a mindset coach, working with a therapist, whatever that takes. And I think the one thing that, most of us who are coaches, we have coaches. So my Monday morning starts off with my coaching program, my group coaching program. My coach is amazing. She is constantly, addressing the ideas of our fears and how to overcome them, and, help us, when your mind's running away with you, how can you get back into your body? Focus on your breath, or focus on the cold tile floor under your feet, or whatever it is. Pet your dog and focus on that, just so you bring yourself back to your body and try to slow your mind down.
Nice. The last tip there of come back to the present, right? Slow your mind down, slow your overthinking, all these stories that your mind are creating that aren't really true, right? Come back to the present around what you can control. But you're also so right in that, acknowledging that self-doubt is totally normal, right? We're all one day at a time just trying to figure out this thing called life. And so
Yes.
it's okay that we have doubts, right? Our only experiences are what we've gotten up until today. So of course we have doubt about
Right.
what can we do tomorrow, but focus on what you're good at versus what you're bad at,
Yeah.
right?
And Wayne, I'll have to tell you because I've almost always had staff, because
Mm,
I've owned businesses that kind of required that to have employees. And one of the things that really shocked me, but it made so much sense once I fully understood it, was how many of our clients, after they hired their virtual assistant and they were up and running, they would say things like, I feel like a real business owner now. Or they would say things like, I had no idea how much I was beating myself up because I couldn't get everything done. And here I am, a person who doesn't have great tech skills. And I think I'm supposed to be able to learn video editing and graphic design and all of these things when it's not the best use of my time. It's not how I'm going to change the world. It's not what I should be doing. So, or how much more confident they are once they have a virtual assistant. And I think part of that is I guess the other thing was several people said they didn't realize how lonely they were in their business. So if you
mm.
are a solopreneur, it can be very isolating. So I really wasn't expecting to hear those things, which we hear consistently, but it does make sense. When you are starting a business and you're a solopreneur, you don't really have anyone to bounce ideas off of, or you don't have anyone to get excited over a graphic that was created, or an
Sure.
ad that you're going to run in a local gazette or something, right? Like you don't have anyone who's super excited about how your video looks the minute it's edited. So it's great to have that person there who's as excited and as committed to your business as you are. And so I think that in and of itself can really change how a person feels about themselves and their business.
That is an interesting insight right there. One that I personally wouldn't think of or think
Right.
to share that by hiring somebody, by outsourcing some work, giving you this confidence in yourself, right? So it's actually building your business in areas that the virtual assistant isn't even touching, right? Is that sort of what I'm hearing?
Right. Yeah. So most of our clients are hiring virtual assistants who are fantastic at video editing and graphic design, and they're super tech savvy, right? So it's
Mm,
really amazing to hand off those tasks to someone who absolutely loves doing them and is brilliant at doing them. And they're excited about it. So that brings this whole different energy to your business. Where if I had to edit my video, it would be a terrible chore that would take me forever to do, and I'd be hating it the whole time, right?
mm,
So giving it to someone who loves getting to do that. So it really serves two purposes. But then that frees up the business owner to focus on what they need to be doing, whether that's getting on more discovery calls, whether that's creating a new product or service, whether that's getting out and locally networking, whether that's thinking about their content strategy. It frees them up to do the things that are going to move the needle in their business, what's going to help them make money in their business. So, again, and I think there's two sides to this, and I think you'll agree that you're probably guilty of it too. Sometimes we choose to do tasks and you spend time in Canva or doing things like that because it's not as scary as getting on the phone and talking to someone, right? So
absolutely.
sometimes we do these things, and we spend a lot of time putzing or learning or taking classes or whatever it is. And it's really a way of stalling and having
Mm,
conversations with the people that you can help. And so
mhm,
that's something that, again, it's just fear. We've all done it. And
yeah.
it's something that will keep you from growing your business though.
It's so true. That can be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, right? That, well, now if I outsource these things that have been almost like my safety net, right?
Yes.
My procrastination
Yes.
safety net. Now I'm forced to do other things. And I guess that just boils down to you have to ask yourself, are you willing to do what you want to grow? Is your why, your purpose
Yes.
strong enough? Well, this is these things you need to do to keep moving forwards, right?
Yeah. And I
Um,
think another little side benefit of having a virtual
yeah,
assistant is now you all of a sudden have a salary. So whether you have someone and you're only paying them $250 a month or you're paying them $500 a month, you
yeah,
now have this responsibility of this other person who is expecting that salary to pay their bills. And
yeah,
so sometimes I think as human beings, we will do something for someone else that we won't do for ourselves. So
so
you're
true.
thinking about how awesome your team member is, and you're thinking about, like, how you've got to make payroll next month. So you're more likely to do that follow-up phone call you were supposed to do, or go to that networking event, or get online and build those relationships that you can possibly convert into clients.
This is so interesting to me. The entire theme of this whole interview has gone a different direction than I was expecting, around how by outsourcing, you're building yourself. You're growing your own mindset. You're making yourself get uncomfortable. And this is all leading to growth, right? Your business growth, but growth within yourself as well, by
Yes.
simply getting a team member, right? By outsourcing your stuff. Kirsten, I'm
Right.
curious, where do you see your business going in the next 5, 10, 15 years?
We've kind of expanded our services. We really were focusing on simply marketing virtual assistants, which
Sure.
focused on video editing and the graphic design and helping our clients, learn their marketing strategy for YouTube and social media. But now we actually have virtual assistants who get our clients booked on podcasts. So for example, my virtual assistant booked this interview with you,
Wonderful.
and it shows up on my calendar, and I have a link to the Trello board where it has all the information that I need to show up and be prepared. And then the other thing we are focusing on is helping coaches book sales calls, having a virtual assistant who will book discovery calls, sales calls, or enrollment calls for them. And so that's something we're probably rolling out in August or September.
Wonderful. So you're going to keep expanding around the same concept of outsourcing of virtual assistants, but the
Mhm.
actual tasks that they are specializing in, you're helping to place those tasks into more and more businesses as well.
Absolutely. We'll probably keep the focus around marketing, because I feel like that's, Jeannie's background is marketing. I know for a fact that the best place to spend money for the best ROI is with marketing. So we'll probably
Sure.
continue to focus on that. But yeah, we
Mm.
want to expand the services so that we can really help our clients, get the success that they need in order to take
Wonderful.
their businesses to the next level.
Wonderful. Kirsten, I mean, you are helping businesses take their success to the next level, no doubt. You
Thank
are
you.
empowering them, helping them overcome obstacles. Now, the one question that I always like to ask near the end of the interview is around the theme of the show, around legacy, right? Which is such a big
Mhm.
thing, but it doesn't have to be. And so I'm curious, love to ask you, when you hear the word legacy, what does it mean? And what's the legacy you want to leave on this world?
So I think sometimes when you think about legacy, you think about money that maybe you're leaving to generations. I think sometimes
Mm.
that people automatically go to money, but I feel like every time we serve or help a client, that's part of our legacy, right? And so I feel like the more people we can help, because again, we all have these incredible skills and gifts and things that we're fantastic at. And the more people that we can really help with our skills and our gifts, the more we change the world. And I think that's the legacy I want. I want to know that everyone who we work with, we exceed their expectations. One of the things that Jeannie and I don't do is we don't act as a marketing agency, and we don't act as an outsourcing agency, because we don't want, we want all of the virtual assistants to work directly for the client, because we want that client to start to build a team and start to see their business in a very different perspective. And so we're always looking at what we do and how we do it to make sure that it is in alignment with how we want to change the world and how we want to help business owners go to the next level.
And that's a wrap. Everybody out there in podcast or YouTube world, thank you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you. Please, if you enjoyed the episode, share it with a friend, a family member, a colleague. Help us to grow the show, get some more amazing guests on here. But wow, what did you think about that? Miss Kirsten Graham of Six Figure Business Coaching. Some awesome golden nuggets in there, huh? Everything from how to overcome self-doubt by understanding that everybody goes through it, right? And then actually, just outsourcing what you're bad at, focusing on what you're good at. And then how cool that by outsourcing, right, by getting a virtual assistant, you're not just growing that one small part of your business. A lot of times your marketing, it's actually helping you grow almost every other part of your business as well, because it's opening up this time for you to work on the other more important pieces, the pieces that you're good at. And at the same time, it's actually helping to boost your self-confidence, your mentality around your company, which is just going to lead to more growth. Absolutely amazing. Everybody go check out her links down below in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here once again. And if you are listening, the chances are good that the Journey to Legacy community is still free to join. Visit us over at journeytolegacy.org for a community of like-minded individuals, all helping to keep each other accountable and helping each other to grow and using the ripple effect to change the world. That's the legacy that we are working to leave. Thank you all for being here. Until next time, my name is Wayne Veldsman. You've been listening to the Journey to Legacy podcast. Peace.